The old cliche is, of course, that anything can happen, especially in sports. And this Olympics has already shown us that, yes, anything can happen. And I think the lead up into this Olympics, the conversation around women has been that there are some front runners, but it is a anything could happen lineup of women who are all competing, and the dark horses are hot on the trail of the leaders.
I am so excited and equally terrified of this event because, yeah, there is, I'd say, 8 women who could win this on the right day.
Yeah.
That's not even counting some people that could also win this on another day.
Yeah. And
It's
I
crazy.
think that's one of the things that's greatest about this.
I love it. It's such a deep field.
I love that there are definite front runners, but it could go any which way. And we've already seen after the men's competition.
And a little bit of the pairs today, which was a little heartbreaking.
Yeah. We'll talk about that at another time. But mostly it was pretty darn good, but definitely our faves took a hit in that one.
A couple of our faves.
Yeah. But yeah, let's focus in on the women here. So Wen, get us started.
Welcome to Choreography, a podcast about the greatest sport on ice, figure skating. I'm Wendy Buskey.
And I'm Adrian Buskey. And before we dig into the women, and if you don't want to hear this part, there's always chapters in the description. You can skip ahead to wherever you want to listen to. But I do want to address a little bit about the last couple of episodes.
Can I preface it?
Yeah, hit it. Yeah.
Welcome to some new subscribers.
Yeah.
Which is
Hi.
so cool. Thank you for finding us and for joining us. I'm happy you're here.
Yeah. The Olympics is obviously the time period where the sport gets the most attention.
Always.
And when some really big things are happening, that's when it drives people to find commentary and to get the takes on what's happening. And so I think all of us in the content creator sphere are like feeling that like kind of that impact of a lift of a lot of people coming in to just kind of hear what's going on.
Which for people that have been trying to spread the word of figure skating and build in any small way more enthusiasm around it is so encouraging and so cool.
And I think that's awesome. And so like a lot of new people have found us, and that's really exciting. But I think what's also the other side of that is that you get a lot of people who come in without the context of what your show is typically about. And I think that long-term listeners and watchers of this show know that our mantra for the show is that athletes are humans first.
People first and empathy.
Right.
That is a very, very core tenet of this show.
Right. We care about the skaters as human beings before whatever happens on the ice and whatever medals or placements that they have.
Always.
And we're fans of pretty much everybody. We're very hyped for, especially when we get into this today. Like a lot of our favorites are not just American. A lot of people are like, oh, you're just American bias. I'm like,
no.
If you've listened to the show for any length of time, and if you haven't, I understand that you're coming in
fresh and new, and that's cool.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's not the nature of this show to be particularly American-centric, nor is it the nature of this show to believe that winning at all costs is the best thing, right? And I think that in a lot of sports, a lot of the mindset around competition is that first place is the winner and second place is the first loser, and that like any way that you win is good. And there's just this sort of like the platonic ideal of competition is just success. And I understand where that comes from, but I think it also means that a lot of people don't enter into a conversation about what happens in a competition from the same sort of angle that we do. And so at the beginning of the last episode, and I'll note that like the last episode, like the intro was originally longer than what actually came out. I had a longer piece at the beginning that during the editing process, I just felt took too long to get to the conversation. I ramble a little bit sometimes. Some of you have noticed this. And I just felt like, you know what? I think that it would be better to jump tighter into our intro. And because of that, there was a little bit of extra context that wasn't there. But still, there was a part that you said right towards the beginning.
You're speaking about the episode that was a wrap up of the men's final, which was a shocking, to say the least, type of event. And I had said that I would expect, or at least assume, and maybe that is too presumptive, that the ultimate winner of the gold medal, Mikhail Shidorov, who I adore.
Yeah, big fans of Mikhail and have been for years.
Big Misha fan, probably would not have wanted ultimately to win the way he did. However, I'm sure he was super duper happy to be an Olympic gold medalist. That was the context of what I was trying to say. And what that meant was he's a very empathetic young man who Ilya is his friend, and he's also a fan of the sport himself. And frankly, everybody wants to win at the best that everyone else can do. Like, it's not always at the expense of everyone else. And I was trying to make the point of he's a kind person who didn't want to necessarily see his friend fall apart on the ice and then take a medal. However, that said, as Ilya himself said to Misha after his scores came up, Misha earned that gold medal.
Yeah, absolutely.
He is the one who showed up the most on the day. So please know, I was never trying to say that Misha didn't deserve it. He 100% did.
I feel like a lot of people just came in and 13 seconds in or 30 seconds into it, heard one line and reacted before they got any further into the episode to kind of hear what we were talking about or how we would approach it. And there's a word for that, and or a phrase for that, and it's context collapse. It's like getting a soundbite and then not kind of understanding all of the rest of the conversation around it. So I feel like some people can be forgiven if you don't recognize that like our first and foremost thing is like an empathy for the skaters as human beings.
Always.
And sometimes you don't understand, or maybe you're not a native English speaker, or you just like you're new to us and the way we do things. But a lot of people took issue with that comment because they thought we meant that Misha didn't deserve the win or that it tarnished his success. And it was like, that was never ever the intention. That was a lot of inference that was not implied. And what it comes down to, in my perception of it, and I responded to a bunch of people in the comments about this and trying to be like, respectful of understanding, where they're coming from, but also saying, this is what we're saying and you're misconstruing it, is that, like you said, for years we've been watching Misha. So we know how he reacts in the kiss and cry.
Yeah.
We know how he reacts to the kids who are sweeping the ice and, and handing him stuffies, and he's giving hugs to people. And
he's
how
a darling person.
Yeah, he's
very obviously
very warm. Like, he says that he's awkward and shy off the ice, but he always seems like this very kind and warm person. A year ago, when he got silver at Worlds after Yuma fell apart in the free and he moved up, there was a moment where the camera turns to him.
I think expecting a big happy reaction.
Yeah, and they don't get that. He just looks stricken, because that was the first time at Worlds where you had like the leader's chair out on the ice. So
I don't like the leader's chair very much. I'm just going to say that.
I've got mixed feelings about it. But in that particular moment, what you got was a very honest look from him, which was not the, oh, hey, I just won the silver medal, but instead was the, oh my gosh, I feel so bad for Yuma. And the camera cuts over to him and he realizes the camera's on him and he turns and does a, no, take the camera off me. He's not in a moment where he's like, yeah, like, that guy fell down, so I got a medal. He was having an empathetic reaction to his competitor who he knows, who just had a bad skate. It doesn't mean he didn't deserve that win. He did. He performed better that day. It also doesn't mean that he won't celebrate it later or that he's bad for celebrating it or anything like that either.
None of those things.
It just means in the moment, the reaction that you could see from him, and this is just us as empathetic people, reading his reaction, it seems like his first reaction was, I feel bad for my fellow competitor. And then afterwards, he could be excited that he had gotten that world silver medal. Now we come to the Olympics, and Misha goes through a very similar process again, where he's not in the top 3 when he comes in, and he performs really, really well, and he should be extraordinarily proud of what he accomplished there. And then all the guys above him just kind of fell apart.
They did.
And every time that you see him in the kiss and cry, his reactions aren't, I'm on the podium. They're, oh my gosh, I feel so bad for them.
And it evolves into, I feel bad, and then the shock of, oh my gosh, I'm going to get a medal. And oh my gosh, I'm a silver medalist. And then, oh my gosh, I just won.
Yeah.
And those are complicated mixed emotions.
Yes.
Like, you can see he is both really excited and also really not, like when Ilya comes up to him, you can see that he didn't know how.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's a lot to process. And these are both 21-year-old young men. Like, that's a lot to handle.
And they've known each other for years. They've toured together, doing show tours in like Japan. And they've been competitors consistently for all of their young adult life or whatever. These are guys who know each other. Their context is more than, oh, I get a medal. It's, these are my community. These are my friends. These are the people that know best what we're all going through.
Yes.
Nobody knows better than those skaters what it feels like to fall apart on the ice. So they're reacting in that way, I think a lot of the time in a way that I feel is very, very human. And that's what we were processing in the time. If you listen further on, we were really excited for Misha.
I'm so excited for Misha. And honestly, I'm so excited. And I hate that we're doing this debate before the women's event because I do not want to diminish how excited I am for that event.
Right. Yeah. And like I said, I mean, some people can skip right past this and that's fine. I totally understand. Yeah.
Sure. In any case, I'm so excited for Misha, but I'm also so excited for Kazakhstan.
Yeah.
I love how much they are celebrating him. I love that he is getting an apartment and a car from the singer of his music.
Yeah.
This is like
and a big award, like a dollar award. Not every country does that.
No,
Some do. Yeah.
It's so, not only is it such an honor that he earned, like totally 100%, but it's such a life-changing moment for him in a way that I don't even think it would be for a lot of others in that position. So I'm ecstatic for him.
Yeah.
I just am also sad for Ilya and bummed for Adam Shoham-Fa and bummed for a lot of the men who didn't perform up to the point where they would have wanted to. So nothing to take away from Misha.
Yeah.
Please understand that.
Anyway, all of that is to say that the core of the show is a fandom for skating where we kind of hope everybody does their best and that we try to treat them as people first. And as we start talking about the women, know that even though, we're Americans, we're also fans of like everybody here, right? And we're very enthusiastic about seeing all of them. And we're nervous for everybody, especially after watching the men fall apart as so much as they did. We're nervous for what will happen on this ice here. So as we get into this conversation about the women, just keep all of that in mind.
Yes. Please, everyone, take that in the sentiment that it is, we are so happy to have you here. But also, if you're more cutthroat about your sports entertainment or commentary, you're probably not going to like this place. So you're welcome here, but know what you're getting.
Yeah. Also, somebody called us weird and nerdy, and I was
Which
like,
is such a compliment.
I was like, yeah. We used to host a podcast called Nerd for a Living.
Yeah, we're nerds.
Yeah. I mean, if you could just
ever look at the background, it's pretty clear.
I'm sure that was meant to be derogatory, but I was like, yeah, we self-identify.
I take that as a compliment.
Yeah. So anyway, let's get in and talk about our 2026 Olympic women's competition here, because like you said, there's like 8 women and change who could really come to play here, and then a bunch of other ones that on the right day could completely show up. It's
obvious to most that have been watching the sport for a while that your odds-on favorite coming in is Japan's Kaori Sakamoto. She has the highest score of the season with a 227.18, which is a massive score. Also, we saw her in the team event, and she looked absolutely glorious.
Yeah, she was magnificent in the team event. And Kaori, of course, she's been sort of the queen of women's figure skating for the last 4 years. She is our reigning Olympic bronze medalist. She is a fabulous both athlete and artist.
And sportsman.
Yes.
We love Kaori.
Yeah, I mean, I think that she has helped redefine the identity of women's figure skating, particularly in the last 4 years. She is so well respected, so well liked. You know, she has a huge international fan base. And the couple of criticisms that you'll see of her sometimes is that she has no ultra Cs, and the vast majority of these women don't. There's a few.
There's a handful.
A handful that do have some, and we'll talk about that. But what Kaori brings to the table is just beautiful skating. Her double axel is, while not the most technically difficult jump in the world, is like
one of the most beautiful.
Yeah, it's like aesthetic perfection for how that jump comes together. The running edge, the length, the distance on it. It's the way it looks in the air. It is like the platonic ideal of a double axel.
Yes.
And the rest of her jumps she's prone a little bit to flutzing.
Yeah, her edge on the Lutz is always questionable.
Yeah.
And the judges definitely call it.
Yes.
Like not always, but often.
But that is a thing to look out for. But this is a competitor who is at the end of her competitive career. You know?
I've been trying so hard not to think about that.
I know. But it has to be brought up.
It's fair.
We know she's retiring after these games. And her programs are infused with the thoughtfulness and emotion of a skater who has devoted so much of her life to this sport and is in that final year of competition.
They're goodbye programs for sure.
It loads an additional level of meaning onto them because it's not just about capturing an Olympic moment and performing well. She has a message that she is sending with this, a love letter to the sport and a reflection on everything that she's done in the sport. So performed to her capability, they will not only be wonderful skates, but they will also be emotionally very affecting.
Oh my gosh. I think there's going to be so many tears, honestly, from her competitors, from her coaches, and certainly from viewers. If she really is the moment that she is capable of being, she's going to be not only very, very hard to beat, but hard to beat emotionally. Like, it's just going to be very, very impactful.
Yeah. Of course, assuming any position for anybody here.
Oh, I'm done with that.
Yeah.
After what happened in the men's, I'm not, no.
Right, yeah. Like,
there is no guarantee.
Right, like you could toss all of these competitors in the air and just how they fell down and who landed on top could be how this shakes out. But yes, I mean, Kaori is your general favorite for it. But very worth noting that there are two other Japanese women in this field, and one of them's top score of the season is 0.1 behind Kaori's top score, and that is the young upstart Ami Nakai.
Ami Nakai could win all of this. There would be no part of me that would be surprised if the gold medal went to Ami Nakai. She has been stunning throughout this season. As someone who is fresh out of juniors this year, full-time senior, wins her first Grand Prix in epic fashion and has been consistent since. She might not have achieved that same score since, but she hasn't been far from it.
Yeah.
And that is so wildly impressive for someone that is fresh into seniors. I don't know what to say beyond her triple axel, because she is one of the few women that has an Ultra C, is, I'd say, based on competition, it's usually about 50-50.
It tends to be really solid in the short program, but where the triple axel tends to fail her is in the free skate.
More often, yeah.
Yeah, and often that's the one mistake she'll make in a free, is that triple axel will turn out wrong. Occasionally she's fallen down on it. But Ami just been astonishing all season long. And she just comes into the events with a lightness, a freeness, like a lack of pressure on her.
That's it.
She came in very early on in the Challenger series, and immediately you're just like, oh my gosh, like she's just stunning. And the rest of the season, I think she was on a podium like almost every time that she competed, maybe every time. I can't remember if she was at Japanese Nationals, but she just kind of moved up into that second position in a very, very competitive Japanese women's field. So what she does here is a real question mark, because we just have never seen her at this level of pressure and competition. And I think it's also worth noting Kaori competed already twice in the team event. Ami is fresh to the ice, and that could go either way as far as being like completely well rested and having not had the pressure of team on you, or the ability for Kaori to come out and already get that taste of Olympic ice here again and put down two great skates and then get a week off and come on, could be to her advantage. It's hard to tell.
Well, it's hard to say, and it's also for her and the other Japanese woman you mentioned that is here, Mone Chiba. This is both of their first Olympics. And while they are both fresh and have fresh legs, as opposed to what Kaori does, having done team, there is also that constantly discussed additional pressure and intimidation factor and overwhelm.
Yeah, nothing else is like the Olympics.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping both of them just channel the excitement and enthusiasm and not the, oh my gosh, overwhelmed by the fact that they are on Olympic ice.
Yeah.
But don't know that we're going to know until the day. And I don't know that they have any idea until they're, at center ice about to start.
Yeah, and Mone Chiba actually has the fourth highest score of this season with a 2:17.23 from Grand Prix Canada. And I think the tale of two skaters with Ami Nakai and Mone Chiba is two people skating with a very different response to pressure, because Ami has just felt so light and unbothered through this whole season. And Mone Chiba just looks like somebody that the pressure has been stacking up more and more on her.
I know.
And she is a terrific skater.
She's phenomenal.
But she has looked like the tension and the stress has weighed on her heavily as the season has gone on, and I felt like she's diminished a little bit. Now, she has definitely shown up the last couple of years, towards later in the season in the World Championships and things, but this season it just feels like it's riding heavy on her. So I'm hoping that the downtime from the last time that we saw her in competition to now, that she's gotten a chance to reflect on things, get mentally prepared, get into the Olympic Village, have a good time. But I really haven't seen her, so I don't know what it's been like.
We've had only a few weeks since Four Continents, and Four Continents is where I think I saw the pressure getting to her the most that I've seen. Even though she didn't perform like horribly, she still held it together, but you could just see the cracks really starting to come through. And I agree. I hope that she has just taken this time to really enjoy the moment. This is your first Olympics. Both of these skaters could very well be at the next Olympics as well. I'm hoping that they can enjoy it as much as possible, even though I know that there has to be just enormous amounts of pressure, because Japan definitely knows that they have a shot at just sweeping an Olympic podium. That would be incredible for them. But there's another country that has 3 women that could also sweep this podium. So the third highest score of this season, I'll start with her, is our reigning world champion, Alysa Liu. And while her highest score this season is about 5 points behind that of Kaori and Ami, she beat them both at the Grand Prix final to get that score. So Alysa Liu is definitely a contender here.
Yeah, I think that if Kaori and Ami both skate to their full potential, I think it will be hard for Alysa to catch up to that. But we've also seen her be just absolutely brilliant.
Yes.
And she has great programs. She has gone back to both the programs that she skated last year at the World Championships, and we saw those are moneymaker programs.
They are moneymaker programs, and I am very interested in what her new dress looks like for the free. I do know that is happening.
Oh, I did not know that there was a new one.
A new dress.
Oh, why would you not wear the one that's gold?
That looks like it's made of money and gold?
Yeah, the one that looks like a gold medalist outfit.
We'll see.
I don't know how to feel about that, but Alysa is the unbothered queen. She's the alt girl. She's got the halo like hair dye, the weird piercing, I
love her. I love her so much.
Her vibe is so different. She is such a unique presence in this sport, and I love it because she just approaches everything so differently than anybody else. And this is her second Olympics, so she has been in this position before, and just based on the stuff that we're seeing her do off the ice, I mean, she did compete in the team event, and so she's already coming into this
very well.
Yes, she's coming into this with a team gold medal, so she's already got major hardware before walking onto the ice here. So almost everything else is gravy for her at this point.
Well, and she said it herself, and I've loved it since she said it, which is, why should I feel additional stress going to the Olympics when it's all a bonus? It's all more things that could go well for me. These are more opportunities for good things. It is such a different mindset. I hope that she is owning that and not letting anything taint it.
Yeah.
Because it's so refreshing to see someone just come in with I already did the job of getting to the Olympics. Now I want to just enjoy it. It's so commendable.
Yeah.
And I wish she could just sprinkle some of that over every other competitor, just take a little bit of pressure off of all of them.
Yeah. And even though she is the reigning world champion, she is not coming into this with the same kind of pressure that Ilya Malinin had in the men.
Oh, no way.
It's a very
close.
different circumstance. So I'm just very excited to see what she does out here.
Yes.
You mentioned that she's part of a flight of 3 women.
The Blade Angels.
The Blade Angels, yes.
Or Babes of Glory. They have self-referenced. They also sometimes call themselves the Powerpuff Girls. I love them.
It's an incredible squad of women that we have here. And we're going to leap over the 5th highest score of the season, but we'll come back. But the 6th highest score of the season is Amber Glenn. She did a season's best of 2:14.78 at Grand Prix China. Amber has the triple axel.
Yes.
And when it's
on, it's amazing.
When it's on, it is fabulous. It is huge and stunning, but it does sometimes let her down. And of all of the US women, she is the one who is most susceptible to giving into nerves or the pressure of the moment. But she has the highest ceiling of all of them, typically, if everything comes together properly.
Yeah.
And Amber is kind of the mom of the team. She's sort of looking after all of the rest of them. They're like chaotic like children. But she does have to believe and breathe. You know, she needs to like center herself and come out there and skate for herself and her team, allow herself to enjoy the moment without getting into her head. And I know that that can be a challenge for her, but she has the technical ability. She has the artistic ability. Her short program to Madonna's Like a Prayer is awesome.
It is iconic. It is so good.
If it hits here, it will hit big.
That's the thing. I really feel like for Amber, it's all that short program. I feel like if she hits that short program, it doesn't mean I think she'll win. It just means I think she will have a better free skate if she has a fantastic short. Because I feel like that short, it has so much joy of skating in it. It has so much energy and emotion. I feel like it sets her up not just in terms of score, but just emotionally. I think if she gets that big high of skating that really well and getting that big crowd response, I think it will just lift her as opposed to adding more pressure. I think it will just give the benefit, not any kind of really cost.
Yes. And like Alysa, she is coming into this with a team gold medal. And she had faltered a little bit in the free skate there.
But she fought back hard.
And you could see that in the team event that she was really worried that she had lost the gold for her team. Ilya locked it down in the end, especially with an assist from Camo.
They were so good.
Yeah, but I'm hoping that that helps give her a bit of a reset going into this because she has been on the ice, she's gotten the nerves out of the way, and now she can get out there and just perform. And I think that Amber is a real threat for both the podium and the top of the podium. Depending on how everybody performs, if she performed to her highest capability.
That's the key.
Yeah.
Because that high score of the season still had mistakes and not big time bad ones, just enough that her ceiling hasn't been touched this season.
Yeah.
So that 227 that Kaori has, it looks on paper like it is unbeatable. If Amber is what Amber can do, she can touch it.
And then the other American woman here is Isabella Levito,
who may have my favorite social media moments of the Olympics so far, at least from the women, because she's such a character.
Yes.
And is so funny. Mm-hmm. She is witty.
She's very, very clever, very, very fun. The interesting story around Isabeau is that like 2 years ago, she was sort of the preordained like ice princess of the US Federation. I mean, like, I feel like we talked last episode about the NBCification of things, and I felt like they were really starting to grab onto her, that everything was Isabeau. She was the marquee skater. And then a couple of things happened. She had an injury that sidelined her for a lot of a season. And then Amber and Alysa, it just changed the course of the US women in a big way. And since then, Isabeau has performed very well. And she has world medals. You know, she is like, she's a strong, strong competitor, but she hasn't been quite up there as high. And I think that when you look at her top score of the season, which was a 2:12.71, that was from Grand Prix de France, and she landed off the podium there.
Yeah.
That's been kind of the story for her this season, is that like when she's come in and given really great numbers, it's been in competition against other people who also gave great numbers. And there are plenty of other competitions she would have easily won if she had been at with those same scores.
Yes.
So by circumstance, she has been a little bit further down the pack, but she has skated brilliantly through so much of the season, and she was fantastic at US Nationals.
Well, there's also the fact that after that men's competition, looking at high scores almost feels silly.
Right.
Because it didn't matter there at all.
These are data points.
These are just data points.
And somebody in our comments this last time asked, why does anybody care what people did through the whole season, and all that matters is what happens on the day? And I get what you're saying, but sports is literally about data. You know, some of it is just the degree of difficulty that you have. Like, there's a top score that you can hit in your technical. You know, some people just have a higher threshold, their ceiling, if they have ultra Cs or whatever, like that number they can hit, that they could hit, is higher than some other people, but that doesn't matter so much if they fall apart and don't do those jumps.
Exactly.
A la Ilia. So what we can look at is the trends over the course of the season, but that doesn't mean that on the day, somebody like Amisha in the men's, who has not been super great through the course of the entire season, peaks at exactly the right moment. You know,
right.
And you don't know who that will be. So with Isabeau, while she's further back in the pack and hasn't been as successful over the last season or so as Alyssa and Amber, she's completely capable of coming in ahead of them here, depending on how it all shakes out. You cannot discount her ability to get on a podium. We have had some doubt in Isabeau in the past when she didn't have a particularly great season, and then she got on the world podium that season.
I was going to say, that's pretty long ago at this point.
Yeah, it was a couple of years ago, but still.
Isabeau has proved time and time again that she is a gritty competitor.
Yeah.
She looks like an ice princess, but she has that athlete's competitive mindset, and she will fight.
Yes.
Always she will fight. I love that about her. So yeah, it's far from out of the realm of possibility that Isabeau Levito ends up on this podium.
Yes. Now let's step back to the 5th highest score of the season, because here's where we start talking about the real dark horses.
Yeah.
Niina Petrokina from Estonia.
Love me some Niina Petrokina, and her at Europeans this year with her now 5th highest score of anyone this season with a 2:16.14. That's a data point I love looking at, because no one expected that of her, because she has had so many medical and injury issues throughout the past couple of seasons. She's had to make multiple comebacks at this point.
Yeah.
And man, did she do it in fine fashion. She was talking about the fact that before Europeans, she was basically getting told, like, you're not going to get back-to-back. That's really rare.
Right, because she is the two-time back-to-back European champion.
And part of her motivation at Euros was to prove that point wrong, and she did it in style.
Yes. And that was an event where a lot of the women underperformed.
Yes.
And
she did not.
And she did not. She didn't have to be perfect to take that win, but she put out a phenomenal performance. Niina is somebody that we've been fans of for years. I think that we were kind of on the Petrokina train fairly early. It feels like being like I knew that band before they were cool or whatever. But we always really enjoyed her style and the flair that she brings to the ice and the way that she skates. And then just over the last couple of years that she has just become she's just become very notable for Estonian skating, and being a 2-time European champion now really sets her up as this very notable person. And I think this year we only saw her skate a few times because she was injured, and a couple of those early skates were pretty bad.
They were rough. And understandably.
Yeah. And then to see her come out and then deliver like that at Europeans, I just feel like she's going to come into this event with an injection of confidence over what she did there. And I don't know that she's going to come in with the pressure of being like a podium expectation. I think it's more the do exactly what you did at Europeans and the chips fall where they may, but she could very, very easily end up on this podium.
Absolutely she could. And it would be awesome and such a surprise to so many. So I would love a fantastic showing here from Niina Petrokina. That would be so cool.
Now let's talk about the big question mark of every out of this top 8 scores.
Definitely need to talk about Adeliia Petrosian. She is very much the unknown to most of us and that are outside of Russia or just haven't been paying attention necessarily as closely to Russian competition. She comes in as a neutral athlete. Her high score of the season was at the one international she was able to do, which was the Olympic qualifier, Chinese Nebelhorn, that happened back in September. And that was a 209.63. Since then, though, she has been able to, from what I understand, reincorporate some of her quads.
Yeah, she was very injured at the beginning of the season.
She was.
Yeah.
So her ceiling is going to be a lot higher here. So expect that score to be higher than that. So she is definitely going to be a threat for every medal here is my expectation, at least.
Yeah. I think the thing with Petrosian is that she is built out of that Atiri Russian style where, there's this very big focus on the big ultra C jumps. And she does have impeccable artistic training as well, but she has suffered through a lot of injury that I think plagued her at the early part of the season. It made her very inconsistent at times over the course of her season at home in Russia. We have not followed the Russian figure skating stuff because it has not been part of the ISU for the last 4 years. And so it's just been kind of outside of where we've been pointing our attention. We take all national scores with a big grain of salt, right?
Always.
It doesn't
Every
matter.
national score.
It doesn't matter where you're from.
Doesn't matter the country.
Right. We don't factor those in when we talk about the top scores of the season.
No.
And the ISU doesn't factor them either. Like international score is where it's at. Whatever you get at home, you just have to take them with a grain of salt, right? So I'm not real concerned about what the numbers she put up at home in Russia.
No.
What I'm more concerned about is some of the stuff that we saw from her over the course of the season where it felt like her mental health journey seemed rough. There was interviews that she was doing after some of the events where she had falls and inconsistencies. And in talking to the media there, which included very notable skaters like Zagitova, an Olympic gold medalist herself. And she was saying that she felt like she was going to be put in a madhouse for the way that she felt after. Like she looked crushed, So,
and that was her words. You're not saying madhouse.
No,
she was saying
that's what she's. Yeah, I mean, it's paraphrasing, but
yeah.
So my curiosity about her coming in here, I'm like, she's coming in with a lot of pressure on her, right?
Yes,
a pressure to come in as somebody that has only been seen once in international, that has all the firepower to be way out on top, but we just don't know how that will reflect on her in this moment or what she's going to turn out.
Right. And also it's not just about the jumps. And I really do feel like we don't have a lot of data points in terms of international judging, how well they're going to respond to her variation of artistry and presentation. It's really hard to gauge how well she will be received by judges. I would assume, if she skates clean up to her potential, her scores are going to be very big. Mm-hmm. But will she have the same overall skating skills and composition scores or PCS of a Kaori Sakamoto? Probably not. Is her technical enough to overtake the incredible, impeccable skating of Kaori Sakamoto if she's perfect?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I honestly have no idea.
Well, and some of the conversation for women's figure skating over the last 4 years is how some of the flavor of it has changed.
For sure.
Like the style of it. The Russian women dominated it so powerfully for so long, and even though the individual women had very distinct styles from each other, there still was this kind of a teary house style.
Yeah.
And you just saw slightly different flavors of it, and it just dominated. And in the time since the Russians have not been in competition in the ISU, you've seen a shift in the type of skating that gets kind of more appreciation and gets those marks. And I think what we have seen in the time since then is a much greater variety of styles and approaches to it be on top of the ice. And that's something that I've really appreciated, is seeing greater variety. Like, I don't know, seeing the same kind of style over and over again gets a little stale after a while. It's nice to see that variety, and it's nice to see it get rewarded. So, but in this case with her, she could very well walk away with the gold medal here, which would be a bit unnerving for everybody who has not been paying attention to her, just a kind of a new person seemingly to them. Obviously, people who follow Russian skating will have a very different kind of feeling about that. But it's just going to depend on how she handles the pressure and what the skates look like.
Exactly. It's worth noting that those are like the top scores of the season. But as you mentioned at the top of this episode, there is a lot of other women who are not out of this in any way. My first thought is of Jia Shin. Her top score of the season isn't too far behind Adeliia Petrosian's. Like, it's a 208.45. But beyond that, we haven't seen Jia at her full potential yet. And Jia at her full potential is amongst these medal contenders.
Yeah, so Jia Shin from South Korea is in her first senior season. She was a very successful junior skater that in kind of any other era probably would have been on top of podiums all the time, except for she was competing against Mao Shimada, who I'm sure they all feel very lucky is not in this Olympics.
Because she will be soon.
Yeah, but she wasn't age eligible this time. Jia is a beautiful skater. She has wonderful skating skills, wonderful artistic ability, very good jumps, but she hasn't been super consistent this season. She did the best fairly early on in like the Challenger series, and it just hasn't been quite the standout that I think we all sort of expected her to be coming into this season. Gia is a person that, like, I have no idea what kind of performance she's going to bring to the ice here.
Not a clue.
And I think that kind of everybody we talk about past this, that the consistency of some of those other women kind of fly out the window when we talk about the rest of them.
Well, in the team event, we saw Anastasiia Gubanova from Georgia, who just delivered outstanding,
gorgeous
performances.
Yes.
Especially her free skate was beautiful.
Yeah.
And on the right day, she is also in this medal conversation because she is capable of that. She is a former European champion, but she is wildly inconsistent.
Yes. Gubanova is a like textbook lovely skater, but her short programs sometimes completely come apart. And she has at times washed out of the free skate because of what she's done in the short program. That is why she and another skater that we'll talk about here, like, were at that same Road to Milano Cortina event at Chinese Nebelhorn, along with Petrosian. With Gubanova, if she can get past that short program in solid shape, she sets herself up very well to be in the top 10 and maybe within the top 5, because her ghost free skate is fantastic.
Yes. And judges have shown they really respond well to it too. So if she skates that clean here and to the degree of connection to the audience and the music that she did in the team, that will be a big score.
Yeah. It's just her short program is a little cultural appropriative, and that gets some side eye from people. And sometimes it looks super fun and other times it looks super weird. So it's hard to tell there. But like I mentioned, the other person who was there with her at the qualifying event was Belgium's Luna Hendricks.
And you want to talk about somebody that I have no idea what to expect of.
Who knows?
Luna Hendricks has been a world medalist. She has been a European champion. She is a phenomenal talent.
Yeah.
And then she has also had, as we've been kind of repeating over and over again, she has had injuries. She has been wildly inconsistent. And this season, we've barely seen her.
Yeah.
So it really feels like we could see someone who is up in the 210s, or we could see someone who doesn't make the free skate.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
A couple of seasons ago, Luna was right up there with Kaori as top of figure skating. And in the time since, with all of those issues, it's just really changed the character of her skating in a lot of ways. And I have just no idea what to expect from her, because she's just so hot and cold. When she's on, she can be stunning, but when she is off, it's a disaster.
It is.
You know, granted, this is not her first Olympics, so she has a little bit of that experience coming into this, and she has been, you know, in that big pressure cooker position before, as far as being a leader and coming in as a favorite. She is not coming into this as a favorite.
No.
So I think that will hopefully take some of the pressure off of her, and she can just perform to her best and then let the chips fall. But I have literally no idea like what to expect from her at all.
Not a clue. Someone, though, that I am just so excited to see, and I hope she has the best competition, is Lara Naki Gutmann from Italy. I want her to skate like she did in the team, because she was so good, especially the team short program was so spot on. She was third in that short program. And Lara Naki Gutmann is such an unusual skater for the, like, in terms of the women. Like, she just has her own flair, her own artistic point of view. Honestly, I want some of her programs to go viral, because I want more people to see her and appreciate her quirk, her unusual nature that is so, so refreshing in women's skating.
Stylistically, she's very different from the other women. The choice of material is very different.
I mean, Jaws.
Yeah.
Who else
Jaws
is doing
into
Jaws?
Inception in her free skate.
I thought it was
Interstellar.
It's one. I always mix those up.
It's a Nolan film. It's Hans Zimmer, but yeah, one way or another, Lara Naki Gutmann just has a very different point of view than a lot of the other skaters, and just her presence on the ice is very different.
It is.
She's coming in here with a team bronze medal and a wonderful success for the Italians in team, like just some of the most special moments of that event. Stylistically, she's one of the skaters that I most enjoy. I just really really, really enjoy Lara Naki Gutmann. The chance that she ends up on the podium here is
very low.
Very low. I would say fairly low.
Okay.
Because again, we just don't know how the pressure will stack up and how things will swing
That's
here.
fair.
You know, her top score of the season is over 200. She's in the 204.29 at Skate America. You know, she was just on the podium at Europeans. She was bronze there, even though she didn't have her like best skates.
No, but that was so exciting.
It was very exciting, and I was just very hyped for her. And a lot of the conversation going into this Olympics was who's going to go viral. And I keep feeling like, I mean, I'm not on TikTok, so I don't know what's hitting there or whatever, but I keep feeling like it's the stuff that's happening off the ice that's taking off, or
yes.
if things are becoming viral,
it's Minions.
Did that hit? I don't even know if it did.
Okay.
But, you know, I feel like it's more like the failures or the controversies that have gotten more attention than the successes or the really cool moments.
And that part's such a bummer. I want there to be some big, wonderful moments that people just latch on to. And I agree. I haven't seen that as much as I was hoping to. So yeah, Lara Naki Gutmann, like make that shark dance.
Yeah.
Like, I can't wait to see more people being like, Jaws? Really?
If you've never paid attention to her programs before, key in on these because they are something special, and all of the little shark fin elements that get thrown in during that free skate, and she has some very different spins. She just does things that nobody else is doing, and they're very, very cool. And then right behind her in the scoring is Kazakhstan's Sofia Samodelkina.
Let's hope that Misha just winning a gold medal just catapults her confidence. Like, oh, Kazakhstan can win medals.
Yes.
Let's make this happen.
Samo is a terrific skater, but she hasn't had a great season. She started off really strong at the beginning of the season in Challenger. Like her Cranberry Cup is her top score of the season with a 203.15. She's got kind of a powerful skating style with a really nice glide, but there's also a classic element to the way that she presents in the artistry.
I love her short program especially. Like she just has some really clever choreography that she delivers really beautifully.
Yeah, and she has a lot of charisma. Like and a lot of these women do, but in very different ways. And I think that when she sells, there's kind of a little bit of a theatrical kind of style to it that I really enjoy. She has like just a fun personality as well. And I really like Samo. I really appreciate what she does. Just the latter half of the season, she has not been as strong. It feels like the judges don't tend to favor her as strongly as maybe an audience does. You know, there are just times where I feel like she's skated really well and maybe should have been higher than she has been, but I don't know how that'll shake out here, but I'm always just happy to see her on the ice.
There's one more I really want to hit. I mean, even though we have, you know, Madeline Skizis from Canada, Lorraine Schild from France, we have Kimi Rapon, you know, Nina Pinzerone, the other Belgian woman.
Yeah.
But the person I kind of don't want to leave out of like really digging into is Haein Lee from Korea. Mostly because one, she is a former world medalist, and two, she's been throwing triple axels in practice sessions at the Olympics, which admittedly, I don't remember ever seeing her do before. She might have been doing them a while ago. I just don't remember.
Yeah, I don't recall. Yeah.
But she certainly hasn't done one recently.
Yeah, no, I don't remember any time in the last quad that I've seen her do a triple axel.
And yet, she's bringing one to the Olympics.
Yeah, we'll see if she drops those, which programs those come into play with. I mean, she's not the first person we've seen throw triple axels in practice and then maybe not compete. I mean, Alysa Liu was doing that I think it was at Worlds last year.
Yeah, she even was asked, since she's been at the games, like, are you considering including the triple axel? And I think her response was, oh, hell nah.
Yeah. We know she can do them.
Yeah.
She's released video of showing them doing them.
But they're not
cleanly.
consistent enough.
Right, yeah. I don't know if Haein's actually going to do that in the competition, but my guess is that it's the hard swing for the podium is probably outside of her reach unless she
brings something else. Yeah.
Now, I think the question with Haein is just, you know, you're throwing a triple axel, but you don't have consistent triple combinations. And I think that part of why her scores always fall back a little bit is that she's often doing like triple doubles. And so if she's not pulling that off, I don't know that a triple axel will save it here, but I really appreciate Haein's artistic style. I like the delivery of the programs. And I feel like she's the skater who is very often an afterthought in like the current era.
Yes.
And yet she has a tendency to come through when you don't expect it. You just cannot count her out from the conversation. She could very well be outside of the top 10, and that wouldn't be a particularly large surprise.
Or she could be top 5.
Yeah. And if she skates clean and starts dropping triple axels in there, then everything changes, right?
Exactly, because she has so much power and she's just a much better skater than I think she often gets credit for. So I do really feel like it's the reminder of like, remember, she was a world silver medalist not that long ago. It's been a while since we've seen that version of Haein show up, but it could at just the right moment.
Right. Yeah.
All right. I think we should move to predictions, which I feel like I just sent you into a panic spiral with by just saying out loud.
I just made my anxiety sound.
I'm so sorry.
Wow. I mean,
because it could be so many variations.
Of every event here, this is the one that I feel the most anxious about.
Same.
And that I have no idea. There's a whole lot of these women that if they came out on top, I would be thrilled for.
Oh,
you know?
yeah, absolutely.
Like, I mean, almost any arrangement of the podium would be really exciting. What I don't want, of course, is to see like what happened in the men's event, where
That's
a whole
all
lot
I
of
want.
really good competitors. I'm not talking just about Ilya, because obviously we can look at like Adam Fa and to a degree like how Yuma skated and stuff like that. He still got a medal, but he didn't skate super well, you know, in the free. I don't want to see a splat fest. I want to see a bunch of terrific skating where it comes down to like you have to nitpick it down to like the nth degree of
exactly.
like what they accomplished.
The dream is that it's like the top 10 are separated by like less than 5 points.
Yeah.
That's the dream. And that's entirely possible with these women. We just don't know if that's going to happen on Olympic ice.
Yeah. And I think that what happens in the short program is going to have a huge impact. I mean, it always does.
Yeah.
But I think that you're going to see very early on the mental state, the preparedness, the ready to rise to the moment. But then, of course, you know, you could have your top competitor in the world completely collapse in
we don't want to think about that.
Yeah.
We've saged the ice since then.
I would hope so. Yeah. I think that the ice needed an exorcism. It's crazy. But
You are not the first person I've heard say that. All right. I'm going to just go ahead and pick, and I'm going to say gold medal is going to be Kaori Sakamoto. I think your silver medalist is going to be Alysa Liu. And I think your bronze is going to be Ami Nakai. That's my picks.
I think your gold medalist is going to be Ami Nakai. I think your silver medalist will be Adeliia Petrosian. And I think bronze will either be Alysa Liu or Kaori Sakamoto, but my crystal ball can't see it clearly.
I'll admit, I didn't look below the top 5 in my list in front of me. And then I'm like, oh my God, I didn't include XXX%. But I'm not going to change it. I'm just going to leave it alone.
Well, and if we, as we're recording this, like pairs is halfway through.
Yeah.
And our predictions for pairs don't look like they're going to hold up.
No, they seem to have gone out the window. Not as wildly as the men's.
Yeah.
But certainly they're questionable right now.
Anything could change because pairs can swing wildly just like men's can.
And
but
I got also just give a quick shout to Leah Pereira and Trent Michaud.
Oh, yeah.
Top 3.
Like,
so cool.
Totally overperformed in
love
that
it,
event.
love it.
Huge, yeah. But, if we look at our predictions so far of the course of these Olympics, I accurately predicted the team event, but that, of course, came down to the wire. The ice dance event, I also predicted. Of course, I wasn't happy with how it came down, but I had the right podium for it. The men's, we got parts of it right.
But nobody predicted that one other than the tarot card reader, apparently.
Right, yeah. Oh, my gosh.
I heard that the tarot card reader says that Kaori, Adeliia, and Alysa will not win. So take that into consideration, I suppose.
Okay. Oh my God.
So that might actually reinforce your podium.
Weird. Yeah. I mean, I didn't know that, but like, man, what a weird season where so much has been the talk of Etsy witches and casting curses or blessings or.
Yes.
Or
and by the way, when we say cursed ice, we're kidding.
I feel like I had to clarify that in the comments a few times where it's like, when we say cursed ice, we don't mean for real.
When I bring up a tarot card reader, please know I am not taking that seriously.
People, I'm an agnostic. Like, I don't believe in anything. Like,
Sorry.
Their turns of phrase, like, but there are moments where you feel like, I don't know, and you're like out there and like the Pope is dead, and like we can feel it. Get that exorcist out here. Let's get this ice taken care of. But oh my gosh.
Wow.
We've said it a few times already, but like we're about to go into like the last 3 competitive skates of the Olympics. And I am so tired. I'm so emotionally exhausted.
It has been a very stressful Olympics. And I would love to say, like, it's been so much fun. I feel like the team event was so much fun.
Yeah. I was hyped after the team event.
And then since then, it has just mostly been stressful. I'm waiting for that, like, joy to return. And I think with the pairs, it did a little bit. I got some moments of that where I
was
felt
numb through the pairs short program.
Well,
except for like, and again, we're kind of getting out of pocket with this, but seeing Riku and Ryu have a blown lift was a gut punch. But like the rest of it, I was like, there were definitely some great performances. Shout out to Miniki did a fantastic job. They were brilliant. But overall, I was just so in this feeling of like, waiting for somebody to get dropped on their head or something, where I was just like, please, let's just. I was really happy that like Luca looked a little more secure in his lift. Like
he looked very secure today.
I wasn't terrified that he was just going to pile drive Metelkina onto the ice, as I'm often scared will happen. So,
oh my gosh, that's such a horrible thing to say.
I'm saying it in the hope that it does not happen. But I want to go into the women's event flying high and excited and just ready for everybody to do their best. But I am at this part, I am so traumatized that I just have I don't want to go into it with excitement. I want to just go in and nod along and go, good job. Oh, all right, that's fine. And then maybe be hyped afterwards. I'm terrified.
Yes, I am also very nervous, but I'm going to try to channel it into excitement. I'm going to try to take all of the nervous energy and move it towards what might happen as opposed to what might happen.
Yeah. So that's a good way of putting it, I think. Yeah. So as we wrap this episode up.
Sorry. I'm still in the trauma.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the trauma, in the comments, let us know what your predictions are, who you're hyped for, how you think this is going to shake out, how you're feeling at this point. How's your therapist talking about your reactions to this? I feel like for a lot of people after the Olympics, it's like, well, it's time for therapy.
Yes.
One of our listeners said that they got done with like the men's event, or maybe it was the dance. I can't remember, but they were like, they just booked a massage right afterwards. They were like, I'm just going to go in and I'm just like, I'm going to let somebody beat my muscles down and not think for an hour. And I was like, that's genius.
Brilliant.
That is, self-care is important.
Yes.
It's very important for the athletes, but it's also important for the rest of us. There's definitely been some tough moments, like, just in the Olympics, right? Like the world itself is on fire. And then you just bring it into the microcosm of this. And I'm like, can we just have just some good skates, some happy people,
good skates and happy people and some joy. Bring Danny O'Shea energy.
Yes.
To everything.
Danny O'Shea energy. That's what we're here for.
Yes.
Constant smiling, good vibes, happy to be here.
Golden Retriever energy times 1,000.
Yeah.
Let's us all channel our inner Danny O'Shea.
Hell yeah. We are going to talk to you again after the completion of the pairs event. And for choreography, I'm Adrian Buskey.
I'm Wendy Buskey.
And we will talk to you very soon.
Bye.